Hi there. In this video we're discussing Elsewhere, written by Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is a hit and miss author for me. He's written some of my favourite books, Odd Thomas, Fear Nothing, Seize the Night. He's also written books that I just found were terrible. One of them was Your Heart Belongs to Me. I just found that a really terrible book. And some of his other books are also, reads that you struggle through and you don't want to read again. But he can write really good books. Elsewhere. What did I think of it? Well, from the blurb, I expected a really gripping and thrilling read. It just sounded like it was going to be a great book. It really wasn't. I was kind of bored for most of the way through it, and I thought that Koontz missed out on a lot of opportunities to expand different scenes and different themes in this book. I'll discuss that more in the plot section. So let's go to that right now. Most of the plot centers around Jeffy Coltrane and his daughter Amity. So I don't like the name Jeffy, and I'm not really keen on the name Amity either. So the character names for me don't work. But that's not the reason I didn't like the story. I just found the character names a bit annoying. Jeffy and Amity are trying to lead a normal life. They're finding it a bit tough because Jeffy's wife, Amity's mother, took off about 7 years ago and they don't know why. She just vanished. They think she's alive, but after 7 years they're trying to get her legally declared dead just to move on with their lives. At the same time, there's this homeless man who keeps visiting Jeffy and Amity, maybe once every month or so. He comes, sits on the porch with Jeffy, and they just kind of shoot the breeze, talk about stuff. The homeless man is in his 50s or 60s. He seems to be quite well educated, well spoken. He seems to be clean, and that's mentioned as well. He's very clean. So, I think Dean Koontz thinks that most homeless people are dirty. He's well versed in history, well versed in various subjects. So Jeffy gets the impression that he may be a professor in his past life, and he's just fallen on hard times, or something's happened in his life. One day when he turns up, he gives Jeffy a package. It's wrapped in brown paper and tied in string, and he says, "Don't open it under any circumstances. It's the key to everything. Whatever you do, don't open it, just keep it safe. If I don't return in a year, I want you to put it in a barrel, pour concrete in the barrel and throw it in the ocean." And he's very specific about what he wants to do with this device if he doesn't return. So Jeffy agrees to it, all his demands, thinking, this guy's a bit kooky, maybe he's not as sane as I thought he was. I'll just agree, hopefully he'll go away and I'm going to have to put up with him again. That's where this whole plot starts, with this key to everything. I think almost immediately, maybe the next morning, all these black helicopters and black vans turn up on the street. And these men in black suits with sunglasses, so men in black, turn up and they start going door to door. They come to Jeffy's house and they want to look inside. They say they're from the NSA, National Security, they need to look inside. Before they get there, Jeffy thinks something's a bit off, and before he lets them in, he hides the key to everything. He opens the package. It's just it looks like a phone, but it has no buttons and no image in that moment, but he hides it anyway. And the guys don't find it, so the men in black don't find it. By accident, Amity's pet mouse sets off the device and they are transported. So this key to everything, what it does is it transports you to a parallel Earth. Not in the future, not in the past, just sideways. So that's the whole concept of the story, is that there's countless parallel Earths. Some have been explored, some haven't. The government was conducting this experiment in secret to develop these devices, and the man in charge realised that they're too powerful, so he destroyed 2 of them and kept 1. The leader of these men in black, who are going door to door near Jeffy's house, the leader wants the device for his own reasons. He wants to control all the Earths, and he thinks with the device he can do that, and he's willing to kill for it. So we've got danger, we've got risk, we've got parallel Earths in the mix. So we've got a bit of sci-fi and a bit of thrills going on. But this is where I think the plot fails a bit. For a book and for a plot that really wants to focus on these parallel Earths, we spend very little time on different Earths. We spend most of the time on our Earth. So I think Koontz could have devoted more pages to the parallel Earths and given us more description on that. It's like he gave us half an idea, but didn't know how to complete it, so it felt really half-baked, and I felt that was really disappointing. What else was disappointing is it wasn't suspenseful enough. Everything felt a bit flat. So the villains felt flat, a bit comic-like. Jeffy felt a bit flat. Amity, the daughter, she was just annoying. She was like 11 going on mid-30s. Again, Koontz created a child character that was just too clever, too witty, too resourceful, not like an 11-year-old at all. And especially with the dangers that were going on. You've got men with guns. A gun held to her head at times in the book, the daughter's head, and she's able to be so calm and reserved and so resourceful. All through the novel, it just didn't feel right. And there are times where the daughter takes charge as well, and that didn't feel like right either. So I think there are many reasons why this book just doesn't work. And for me, I just felt it fell flat. It just failed on too many levels to be a really great book. And I'm quite disappointed in it because I thought the concept was really good, even though in a way it's almost based. There was an old sci-fi show that was on maybe 15 or 20 years ago called Sliders, I think it was called, and it was based on this kind of concept with a group of people going to parallel Earths. And with that show, spent a lot more time developing all different Earths. So that's where Koontz failed. So maybe not an original concept in the book, but the way it was presented, the way it was written, just wasn't the best for me. The other part of this plot is that on a different Earth, the woman who was Jeffy's wife on our Earth is alive, and she's single. And in that Earth, Jeffy was married to her, but he died, and so did their daughter. So we have her being alone on one Earth, and we have Jeffy and Amity being alone altogether, but without her, on our Earth. So you get the idea what's going to happen here. A professor on that Earth is trying to bring that woman into our world to meet Jeffy and Amity, and this professor is trying to do the same thing, but move Jeffy and Amity to meet the other woman. And then there's meant to be another Earth that is okay for them where they've never existed, either of them, or all three of them, and they can live there happily ever after if they can make it. So the plot becomes about that, about trying to reunite this family and move them somewhere else into safety. So in that way it becomes less sci-fi and more drama, and it just loses all the thrills really, because there's not really much suspense and thrills to speak of. And I found that whole concept of the plot trying to reunite these people not that engaging, to be honest, and just not really gripping. Well, apart from the name that I didn't like, Jeffy was, he wasn't a perfect character. Maybe he was average. There are a few things there that are good. You feel his loneliness, you feel his sadness, you feel some of the shock that he goes through at the very start when the men come to the house for the very first time, and when they travel to their first Earth. You feel that shock about the first Earth because that's the only one we really get a good detail of, and it's vastly different to what their Earth is. So you feel that in the novel. That's about as much as you get. So apart from that, he's pretty flat, and I just didn't get the whole concept of having his daughter almost act like his sister sometimes, and him being okay with that as the father. I just didn't really get that, and I just found his character to be a bit, I don't know, almost Leave It to Beaver-like sometimes. It was just, didn't work for me at all, this character on the whole. Amity, I just found annoying. I don't know why authors make characters that are children into adults in their personality. It just annoys me, and Koontz does it quite a lot in his books. Sometimes it works, So it's not all the time it doesn't work, but on this occasion it doesn't work, which just came across as really frustrating and really annoying. And by the end of this book, I didn't really care if Amity lived or died. I didn't really have any feelings either way for the character. I just was just too annoyed and frustrated when having this 11-year-old character act like she was in her 30s all through the novel. It was just really frustrating. Ed is the nutty professor who hands over the device to Jeffy. I quite like Ed as a character. He was a bit quirky, a bit eccentric. It's not in every scene in the novel, so he's not as prominent as the other characters, but he appears in different scenes, and he appears on different Earths, and there's different Eds on different Earths, and we see at least 2 of them. And on each Earth, he's the same. I found this character the most engaging out of every character in the book. And I would have enjoyed it more, I think, if the book was more focused on him. Maybe on him and his journeys through the Earths. That would have been more exciting. But maybe Koontz wanted that angle of the reuniting families because he thought that's what readers would want. Was it the right choice? I'm not sure. But Ed, I think, is the standout character in this book. Although I've ranted on a bit about how much I didn't like the book, I think it was average. And that's because of the writing. Dean Koontz knows how to write well, and his writing style I find is pretty good even in his bad books. For that, I rated it 2.5 out of 5. I think just the concept of it, the character Ed, or Spooky Ed as he's called as well, the writing style, where Koontz does give us some really good imagery, that saves it a bit and makes it about average. Everything else about the novel I can give or take. I think the first Earth, where we get a lot of description on that first Earth, was really good. After that, I think we see maybe another 2 Earths, and we don't get much description of either one. That's a bit of a shame. I think Koontz could have done more to give us that. So I think having so much of the plot be on our Earth, when we're trying to make a sci-fi novel that is about parallel Earths, I think that's a shame that we didn't explore that more in the novel. I have reviewed and will continue to review other thrillers on my channel. If you don't want to miss out on those, check out my channel and subscribe. Also, check out the thriller playlist. It should be on your screen now.